Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Our mother was a non-traditional mother, meaning throughout our lives, my siblings and I, our mother was hardly ever at home with us. She relied on me, her oldest, to care for her younger children, which made me into a young mother without having a choice. My younger siblings looked towards me as a second mother. I was the one they could rely on, not our mother. Our mother's mom died when she was incredibly young, so she grew up without a mother in her life. Then, when she started having children, she was not in her children's lives, but she herself made that choice. Our mother was a good person whenever she was at home with us. She cooked us full-course meals every day. She kept a clean house. She enjoyed playing games with us. She baked us homemade goodies. But whenever she would get in her moods, she would leave us for some freedom. She would leave us at home alone without a care in the world. Luckily for us, we never had a medical emergency. But one time, our youngest brother at age 4 locked himself in the bathroom and we could not get him out. He could not figure out how to unlock the door from the inside. We had no idea how to get in touch with our mother. So, we had to have the neighbor's husband come and get him out. He had to take the hinges off the bathroom door, then put them back on. One time, someone knocked on the front door, and when I went to answer it, our dog squeezed through the opening of the screen door, and he took off to freedom. We walked up and down the block and called his name for hours. Our neighbor's husband helped us with the search. We were all saddened because we thought he would be taken or hit by a car. He was nowhere to be found. Our neighbor's husband told us that when he gets hungry, he will come back home. And right before darkness fell, he was back at our door, sniffing and wanting to be let inside. When we heard him, we ran to the door to let him in. After he got a good scolding, I gave him a bath. He ate and was quickly in a deep sleep, as though he worked a full-time job. And of course, once again, our mother was not around to guide us through this ordeal. I had to start cooking at age 9 because this is the age when our mother started leaving us home alone. Our mother would always make sure there was enough food in the house before she would go on her binges of leaving us home alone for several days at a time. So now as a teenager, I could cook almost as good as our mother. But I also knew how to ration out our meals, just in case our mother was gone longer than she normally would. I started to predict when our mother was getting ready to go on one of her binges. The one thing that I noticed that was always in common with her binges was drinking. Drinking any type of alcohol. She did not keep alcohol in our home. But if any of her friends came over to visit her and they brought any type of alcohol with them, this would set her off. Her voice would change. Her demeanor would change. She would turn on some slow R&B music and start some slow grinding dances. She would get loud, and then she would be ready to leave the house to go find a man. Our mother knew she was a beautiful woman with gorgeous hair and a nice body. Due to those facts, she knew she could get any man she wanted. There had to be a strong-willed man not to fall into our mother's web. I would literally get embarrassed watching our mother in action. The way she would start slow grinding on a man in front of us. Her actions would make me think of how she could do that in front of her children. But when she was sober, and we would tell her of the things she did while drinking, she would say that was not true and we were lying. She either refused to believe her own actions or it sounded too embarrassing to admit to. I remember one time during one of the summer holidays, our family was out at a large park having a picnic with a few other families. Well, someone had brought lots of beer. And of course, our mother had a few beers. They had some music playing and everyone was having a good time. Then suddenly, I overheard a lady telling another lady to look at how our mother was conducting herself. I looked over at our mother and she was holding a can of beer in one hand high in the air and grinding with some strange man, and he was holding her close to him. Most of the adults were looking at them, and so were most of us teenagers. I was totally embarrassed, especially because the women were saying some nasty things about my mother. One of the women told some of the other women that is how she gets when she gets a little liquor in her. Then they started talking about how they heard that our mother leaves her children home alone for days at a time while laying up with some man. I walked away to find my younger siblings because I was too embarrassed to be witness our mother's actions in front of all these people. And it hurt listening to these other women talking about our mother in this manner, even if they were true. Miss B, do you ever think our mother will ever settle down and be a true mother to her children, instead of only thinking about herself? Your mother's behavior is something that only she can control. It does seem as though she has slowed down some from your previous letters. She has not yet come to terms as to putting her children ahead of her own needs. She knows that she always has you, her oldest, to care for the younger ones. So, my answer is no. She is not ready to settle down and be a full-time mother. If you are enjoying my videos, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons.